Hey guys, welcome back to Tuesday Tips. Super excited about today's topic. It has to do with the mind versus the body. So today I picked motivation, and I picked this for somebody who's beginning a workout program and somebody who's a little bit more advanced and has been training longer. I think a lot of times we're talking about the physical side of things, and the mental side can get overlooked when the idea with fitness is to create a lifestyle with your workouts and your food and also your recovery. And I think that the mental side gets pushed away. So, super excited. So to start this off, I think the best way to introduce motivation is to be selfish and to think about yourself. So at the whole start of this series that I created, and also just in general, everybody needs a fitness goal. So the whole mindset is behind the goal. And everybody has to have a fitness goal to build what they need to do behind that. Their programming and also how to fuel their bodies, so the nutrition side. So you have to think about a couple things. You can't really think about the person next to you or the person who, I don't know, you're pen pals with, but you really have to be selfish when it comes down to making decisions for how you're gonna go about getting to this goal. So what I mean by that is a couple things. You have to look and be a little bit reflective. So example is, are you motivated by others or are you motivated by some things that are more individual based? This may apply to a couple things. So if you're thinking about exercise, would you more likely perform better and at a more intense level and more efficiently if you were in a group exercise class and around other people? Or do you think you'd be more focused on intensity and quality of movements in your own workout? So maybe hitting the floor with some strength movements. So understanding if others motivate you or if you're more motivated by yourself is really important. We're all gonna have the same building blocks for our goal. So again, just another recap, no matter what your goal is, if it's weight loss, if it's putting on muscle, or if it's just overall health and you wanna focus on a little bit of everything, the key foundations for any progress here is having a program with resistance training, a nutrition focus, recovery and sleep and hydration, and then also a little bit of cardio. Again, like my last episode, cardio is great, it's good for heart health, but it does not need to be the key focus for your workout. So it's almost icing on the cake. So again, all those aspects are a part of your programming, but how can you build this to best benefit you? So again, you have to be selfish. I know myself the best, so I can talk about myself. For me, I've been training for a very long time, so I've gone through different phases. I do know that people push me. I am competitive, but I also really enjoy having some space alone and focusing on some of my lifts. It's taken me a couple years to learn this about myself. So initially, I just knew I was competitive. I played sports in the past, and all I knew how to do was run. So I was fortunate, I had a friend back in the day, well, he used to be my head coach, Farmer. I had a friend back in the day push me into taking a class at Gold's Gym, and it was a little bit of everything, running and lifting, and it was a group environment. So I thrived in this environment, and other people would complete their reps. They would make me push harder, and then I would get pissed off at myself because whenever Mary was next to me and she was squatting 50 pounds and I was squatting 45. So I learned very early on I liked the group setting. On the flip side, I also know that I'm very methodical with my own needs, and I needed specific exercises to get myself where I wanted to be. And I just liked jamming out to my music and being in full control of my rest breaks and all that. So over time I learned with my love of the group setting and then my love of the individual setting, the environment I thrived in most was a mix. And still to this day, that's what I prefer. So environment is definitely a factor with motivation. So you need to think about yourself. Are you gonna be better off in a group setting or by yourself or in a mix like me? You also have to think about, again, your end goal. And not only think about it, I think visualizing it is a great way to push. It's super cheesy, but if you are shooting free throws under pressure and you visualize yourself missing the free throw, and let's just say this is like your game-winning 2 points. So you have to hit both of them, and you visualize yourself missing both of them. You're most likely gonna miss because your confidence has been lowered. But if you envision yourself hitting both of your free throws, the chances of you making those free throws are higher. So yeah, it's a little abstract, but visualization is huge, especially with psychology. I can speak from that too. I have created a fear of box jumps for myself. I used to love them, and then one day I fucking ate the box and my shin, it was in front of people too, my friends, who actually I was training them, so that was almost worse. Imagine your coach eating a box like in the middle of your, that wording's not good. Your coach ate shit on the box in the middle of your practice. So it was embarrassing, and I busted my shin open, and I just didn't trust my landing skills anymore. And every time I've really been trying to conquer this, I envision myself missing the box, and that's when I miss the box. But when I switch my mindset and I think about my form and I think about hitting the box, I can land my box jump and I'm fine. So a lot of it is visualization, and mindset can be, it has a huge effect on specific movements like that, my box jump, and just hitting your goal in general. So we've got visualization, and we've also got setting a goal and then understanding yourself. The next focus here is thinking about all of these things that we've talked about. So strength training, nutrition, recovery, whatever you want to throw in a random Spartan race in there, and all these things that you're training for. There's so many moving parts. How can we take all these things and put it into one, and we can chunk it to where you can continue to live and train this lifestyle for the rest of your life? So speaking for the beginners, maybe you've never exercised before in your life and you just started this January. Again, pulling out your phone and looking through social media can be really challenging because there's a lot on the internet that can be very misleading, and a lot of it you'll see whatever motivational quotes about pushing through and challenging yourself and going 110%. And I think those are all very positive things, but I think there's a lot of buildup initially that this lifestyle has to happen all the time. It has to be turned on 120%, and it never ends. And if it does end and you take a rest day, it's the end all be all for your results. Actually, it's gonna be the end all be all for your longevity, because burnout will happen. So if you did start a new program in January, or you're new to fitness, chunking it in the sense of your schedule and really consolidating what focus you're gonna do on each day for X amount of time is gonna be huge for success with sustaining your workouts for the rest of your life. And that's how I've been able to do it for years, and that's how it should be. So to put it simply, you wanna know, I've talked about it a bunch, what days you're gonna be focused on strength, what days you're gonna be focused on aerobic activity. Are you gonna take a group class? Are you going to do a Spartan race? And plugging those in for specific days of the week. That was a loaded week that I just mentioned, but you get the idea. And then rest days, which are gonna be your rest days. So generally 2 rest days, 3 strength days, 3 aerobic days, and of course I just named 8 days, so one of those could be stacked. but you don't want to overload your week with too much, but you do want the foundational pieces of fitness to be in your week. So you want strength training to be in your week. You're going to be tracking your food regardless. You are going to follow the 80-20 rule, like no bullshit fit. You're going to eat clean 80% of the time, but 20% of the time you're allowed to have a couple things. That way you can sustain this lifestyle and not freak out and eat all the cheese if you haven't eaten cheese in 8 weeks. So yes, the idea is to chunk it per week and then chunk it per month. So with strength training, you should be on some form of structured program with specific movements you're working on and progressive overload. If you don't have that in your workout, that's a huge red flag. I can talk about that another time. But with your strength training, it should be set up in cycles. So it should be cyclical to where you're like, okay, I've got 4 weeks to focus on, maybe 5 weeks, maybe 6. And then I have a recovery week, and then I go into another cycle. So everything should kind of follow this cycle. And you can plug in your extra cardio days if you want to focus on cardio, and your recovery days into that cycle. So again, the idea there, because there's rest days built in, is to be able to repeat, and then within that cycle, there's a rest week, so your body can recover and your mind can recover, and you can basically re-engage that motivation. So that is, I think, hands down the most important factor with motivation for longevity, is to chunk your workouts, because you might have a new goal after you reach your initial goal, and then you can rebuild it. So let's just say I took a very well-rounded person with the 3 strength, the 3 aerobic, and then the 2 rest. Say that was your first goal, overall health. And then you decide, okay, I want to take kayaking seriously. So I need to focus a lot on upper body strength, a lot on core strength. I need to actually get outside and get on the water, and I need to focus on some strength. So how the hell do I build that into a cycle? Good question. But again, if you have a new goal after this initial cycle, it's going to spark your motivation. You're going to feel excited about it, and it's new, but in a way that's repetitive with a structure. So yeah, that's what's cool about the longevity of structuring your workouts, is your goals are always going to change. There's no, what was I going to say? You can create a completely new goal. There's no wrong goal. You can just completely reset and have a new set of structure. So outside of structuring for longevity, I think that with motivation, another key piece is realizing burnout. So if you're more advanced, you've been training for years, and let's say you've been training similarly for a long time. So your goals have been similar. I can use myself on this one. I have always wanted to be well-rounded. I've always wanted to focus on strength. I've always, like, if there was whatever Spartan race that came up, or if, again, I wish there was like some competitive football team in Asheville that I could join. I don't know of any, but if somebody asked me to join their sports team, I want to be able to run, and I want to be fast, and I want to have the aerobic capacity to feel strong and be on offense. So I don't know, maybe that's not well-rounded, but I've always had that same goal, and I have always loved it. But there is some points to where I need to be careful and understand that if I'm going to follow the same suit of training, and for me, it is 5 strength workouts a week. 3 of them are isolated strength, so I'm isolating specific muscle groups. 2 of them are more in an athletic setting, so body weight, plyometrics, HIIT. And then I have about 4 side slots set for cardio. And for the most part, it's been steady state. So using the elliptical or walking. I've been doing that for a really long time. And I've had two or one rest days. And I've realized that my mood is different. I don't want to go to the gym as much as I used to. I've noticed that getting out of bed is harder. I'm not as excited as I was. And I feel like, in a way, I'm not only failing myself, I might be failing some people around me taking this class. So I'm realizing, actually right now, that these are signs of burnout, and I need to just have that awareness, and I need to sit down with myself, and I need to reevaluate my goals, which is great. It just shows that I need to switch it up. So having that awareness is super important. Burnout can happen through multiple ways: working out 7 days a week, nonstop, and not recovering. Or it can be kind of what I'm experiencing right now. You've been following kind of the same pattern for years, and you realize you've loved it, but it's time to switch things up and set a new goal for yourself. And on the flip side, that was, of course, my story for somebody who's a little advanced. Breaking things down even simpler with motivation and some tips on it. There's a lot out there to try, and it's all some really simple shit. My favorite one, and this has to do with anything. It could be with an aerobic goal, like getting yourself outside, walking or hiking. This could be a strength goal. This could be even a task-related goal. So you want to learn Spanish. How can you go about learning Spanish? And this tip has to do with getting started. So motivation doesn't really happen before the action, it happens after. So recently, I've been setting myself timers, and for the things I really have been procrastinating on, like the Spanish thing, I set myself a 5-minute timer. So in theory, I call it the timer plan. So I'll set 5 minutes on my clock and I just get started. So I'll open up something online about Spanish and I'll start learning for 5 minutes. Turns out once I start, I'm super motivated. I could sit there for like 2 hours. The other side of it is, plugging in aerobic work. So walking for a full hour takes that full hour. But another side of it is, let me flip-flop that. So you've been really into strength training and you're trying to cut and lose whatever, that last 2 pounds of body fat. And you're just like, all right, this is really hard because I'm putting so much effort into my strength and I know that's how I need to prioritize my fitness. But that whole hour on a treadmill, you can do your strength workout, get yourself a snack, and then start walking for 5 minutes and you're gonna feel better. But it's something I wish I knew the science behind it, but something about starting the action with no expectations or little expectations creates motivation, because you just get going and then you feel good about continuing or even more confident about it. So motivation again can be overlooked with fitness for health, and it is February 4th. So for those who started in January, it's getting to be that time where yes, you're super excited at the beginning of the year, and now you've been training hard and your body's starting to feel it, and you have to reflect a little bit and ask yourself, do I still want to work on this goal? How far into this goal am I? How much time do I have left? And how can I best how can I best dedicate my time to each section of my goal and get excited about the second half? So say you're halfway through your goal. Can you look at your program and can you see that you have a week of recovery? If not, that's something you should evaluate. Also, are you trying to lose weight, fat weight? And have you been on a cut this whole time? And have you talked to your coach about your calorie goal? Is it way too low? Are you feeling super low energy and you have headaches and you feel unmotivated with that? that's something to look at too. Just talk to your coach, be transparent, and just let them know you feel off and your energy is not at its best. And could just take a boost of 200 calories. You can still be in a caloric deficit, but that just like reevaluating and adding in 200 calories could be the difference in your motivation. So this is a good time of the year to assess how you've been doing since the new year started. And it's also a good time of the year or life if you've been training long term and spring's coming up. You might have some events you want to complete with your friends, like a Spartan race or a marathon. Not me on the marathon. But yeah, it's really important to reflect and also use some of these tricks for motivation when things feel a little stagnant and you feel like it's whatever. Something that used to be easy, like getting out of bed in the morning, is a little bit more challenging. So you can also keep a journal. Journaling's great. I'm forcing myself to do that because I've been neglecting my journaling, and I think seeing what I've performed as far as I guess not performed, but what I've achieved is really cool. And when I write it down, I feel connected with it and I feel more clear in general about where I've been and where I want to go next. So yeah, journaling's awesome for that. All right, cool. Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Going forward, I will be posting the second Tuesday of every month. I'm doing this because I just wrapped up my intro series to everything. So I've talked about meal prep, I've talked about structuring your life for success and sustainability. I've talked about what to prioritize for your goal, if it's weight loss, muscle building, or maintenance. Talked about nutrition. I've talked about macros specifically, and aerobic and anaerobic training, so more cardio-based stuff. A lot of my stuff is still on my Instagram, so I'm going to pull it over so it's all in one place. But yeah, going forward, it'll be a monthly video, and I would love to hear from you guys. So feel free to send me a message on Instagram. I'm No BS Fit by Lee Hero, and you guys can include anything you want to hear about in these next coming months and share whatever you want to share with me. Have a great day, and I will see you guys soon.